Hello and welcome to this Friday weekly webinar. Today, to talk about sports psychology and yogic science, we have with us Dr. Nibu.R.Krishna sir, who is Associate Professor and Head of the Department of Yogic Sciences, LNIPE, Gwalior, Madhya Pradesh. I heartily welcome you, sir. आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
We also have with us Communication and Documentation Officer of MDNIY, Mohammad Tayyab Alam sir with us. आपका भी बहुत बहुत स्वागत है सर. Director of MDNIY, Dr. Ishwar V. Basavaraddi sir will join us shortly. As per the tradition of our institute, let us start the program with prayer. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shantihi Shantihi Shantihi. It is a matter of great pleasure that to talk about sports psychology and yogic science, we have with us Dr. Nibu.R.Krishna sir, who has done his PhD in this subject. I heartily welcome you, sir, once again to this platform and to talk about sports psychology and yogic science. Our viewers will be enriched by your views. And I also welcome Mohammad Tayyab Alam sir, who is Communication and Documentation Officer in our institute, MDNIY. And now I would like to request Tayyab Alam sir for further proceedings. Over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Vandana. Good evening, everyone. Respected Dr. Nibu.R.Krishna sir, Associate Professor and Head, Department of Yogic Sciences, Lakshmi Bai National Institute of Physical Education, Gwalior, Madhya Pradesh. Sir, today we'll elaborate on one of the important, excellent topic, is sports psychology and yogic science. Dr. Krishna sir has received his higher education from many renowned institutions such as Jivaji University, Gwalior, Kevaladham, Lonavala, Pune, St. Louis University, Budapest, Hungary. Sir has about 15 years of professional Nibu.R.Krishna sir to enlighten our staff, faculty, and students on today's topic. Sir.
Thank you for your lovely introduction, sir. Thank you, and I'm blessed.
Yes, sir, it is visible. Your slides are visible.
Thank you. Good evening, all of you, and let me thank the Dr. Ishwar Basavaraddi sir, the director of Morarji Desai National Institute of Yoga, for considering me as a speaker for this webinar. And let me thank the person who has been introduced me, especially Dr. Tayyab Alam sir, and the same time my own professional colleague, Dr. Indu Sharma, and the same time the person who has been coordinating with me, Dr. Vandana Singh ma'am from MDNIY. And without especially wasting the time, and the same time I'm extremely thankful to all the listeners and all the viewers especially, and Uh, this word especially, I'll be talking on the role of sports psychology and the yogic science when it comes to the sports or the performance enhancement part when it comes to the sports person part. And without wasting the time, we will be keeping your back straight, eyes remains closed. Bring your entire focus on your breathing. Keep your shoulders relaxed. Gently close your eyes. Bring your entire focus on your inhalation and exhalation phase. Take a deep breath. Expand your chest. Hold the breath and very slowly exhale out. While exhaling out, you are taking out all the worries and pain which you have carried over the period of time. Take a deep breath. Expand your chest. Hold the breath and very slowly exhale out. Last time, take a deep breath. Hold the breath and very slowly exhale out through both the nostrils. Now I'll be going for the chanting of the mantra. Please listen to the mantra. Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Parabrahm Tasmai Sri Guruve Namah. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Contemplate the meaning of the prayer, and you yourself will be surrendering to the lotus feet of the Guru. Pujaniya Guruji ki charanon mein vandan, and very good evening to all the viewers. And this is what especially I am planned for all of you. And I'll be talking on the role of sports psychology and very specifically in context with the yogic science for the performance enhancement of the sports person. I'll be introducing the topic. Then I'll be talking about what exactly you and what exactly sports psychology means and common issues an athlete who is been, or he or she is been facing, and what exactly the reason for this imbalance, especially what are the few components I'll be sharing to you all about yoga. Then few practice of especially how an athlete can enhance his well-being through the help of yogic practices, and how he or she can enable to manage the imbalance when it comes to the mental level also. Then I'll be concluding and we will go for a phase yoga practice, then followed by the Brahma Mudra practice and finishing practice. This is what I have been planned for all of. And let me introduce the topic, especially the biggest issue, biggest challenge right now, the present scenario we all are been facing is to be how we can able to we couldn't even able to manage it. We couldn't even able to especially can find managing our own system. That inability to managing our own system is the biggest challenge which we all are been facing, being a layman, being an athlete, being a human being, especially we have been born in this universe. So when we talk on especially the sports psychology part, the psychology is basically been talking about a behavioral science where as a sports psychologist like us, what we used to do, we used to go for a lot of examinations, a lot of research when it comes to uh, the physical aspects, technical aspects, then tactical aspects, and the psychological aspects. Ultimately, all these aspects, especially can find we have been correlating and we have been connecting for the solution of the right kind of behavior. And the same time, ultimately, at the end of the day, he or she has to be bring the best out of from the or bringing the highest potential performance. He or she has to be do it on the field, and not only on the field, even off the field also. So there are the few issues, few challenges which is coming in all of us, especially that is the how being an athlete, being a human being, how being an individual, especially we can able to optimize our performance part, and that optimization we should know it, especially limitation of the athletes. And another thing used to be the well-being of the athlete, especially how we are being taking care of the athlete, especially as an individual. Then the most important part, especially the social aspects. Being an athlete, he or she has been involved into the sports participation, and how these social aspects are been helping him to develop himself, as well as especially can find society development part also used to be. There are n number of plenty of examples on this one. And when it comes to once you enter into the any organization, especially there may be few issues, especially can find either it come to the sports organizational setup issues, or maybe the sports participation setup issues that we used to be can find tackling out. And another biggest issue which all the athletes are being facing, especially can find the injury is the part and parcel of the sports. And injury is the especially the gift of the especially can find the sports person, and how fastly and the athlete can able to recover, and the same time he or she can able to come back very quickly and fastly and perform better than the previous times. This is very, very vital. When it comes to the yoga part, especially can find the joining all these things, especially can find the how we can able to connect with the physical aspects, the mental aspects, emotional aspects, and there are especially can find this is the heritage of us, especially can find being an Indian. The how uh, yoga especially can find yoga we have been implementing into our life means this is going to help us to have listening to the internal response, especially can find, and the same time we can understand the bodily responses, especially, and the same time this is beyond the especially can find the physiological, the psychological, especially can find. That is why the core message of yoga is to be can find. We have to tackle out. We have to be especially can find understand. Then the moment we gone into the we started practicing, especially yoga. If you have been taken the either asana, either it is pranayam, either it is especially concept of pratyahar, any practice if you have been taking, then the first and foremost thing you are going to be understanding is to be there are the if you do pranayam, if you do asana, then there are the very very faster especially can find changes in the nerve functioning, and the same time better neural plasticity is going to be taken place. And because of this one especially can find the hormonal changes is going to happen in all of us, and these hormonal changes especially can find happening. That part I'll be talking on the later phase. When it comes to the first and foremost thing, especially as an individual, as a sports person also we talk on the attitude part. If you want to do well in your life especially, and if you want to perform, if you want to do anything especially can find yamas and nemas we are supposed to follow, and right code of conduct especially can find. And another most beautiful part is to be adopting various kind of especially can find asanas, and how we are going to be especially can find regulating the uh, inhalation and exhalation phase. And another most beautiful part is to be the meditative practices. And we have been, especially being an athlete especially, we require the for the faster recovery, especially we will be using the relaxative techniques like shavasana and makrasana. Especially these two practices are ideally is the best practices for relaxation part. Then the most important part especially can find, let me uh, integrate with the especially can find the yogic practices. And this has always been helping us to have, once we involved into the yogic practices, it always been enhancing, it is always been helping us to have to altering our especially can find the mindfulness. And the same time that altering is how it has been taking place through the meditative techniques, through the various kind of mindful meditation, through the chanting, through even especially can find the transcendental form. This is always been especially trying to connecting or integrating with the mind, body, and the self awareness being an individual, we are been going to experience through this integration part especially. And the second especially can find part used to be, and this is the very critical part when we talk on the self-regulation part. This self-regulation, once we are been understanding, means this is helping us to have understanding or to have the control on the internal stress responses as well as the emotional responses especially. This is only taken place especially with the help of once we involve into the yogic practices. And this is always been helping us to have reflecting the true personality of the individual. At the same time, we are being going to be exhibiting the resilience from the stress also. So as an individual, we have been trying to become balanced in each and every phase of the life, where especially can find we will be a very perfect especially can find leading you to the psycho uh, physiological efficacy of an individual is going to be taken place with the help of especially can find the adopting the various poses, adopting the various uh, pranayama practices especially. So all these practices especially helping us to be cultivating the right kind of mind body awareness. And this mind body awareness especially can find through the help of especially right ways of especially can find proprioceptive functioning. And the same time we will be able to sense, we will be able to feel, and we will be able to especially experience what is going inside. And as well as especially can find this is how it is possible we can understand the how the qualitative flow of the thoughts. And these qualitative thoughts especially can find helping us to have quality of the especially hormonal changes, and quality of especially can physical changes, quality of emotional changes. All these things are being happening in all of us. So ultimately, all these aspects especially can find taking us to have the right kind of awareness. And this is going to be can find once you will have the right kind of awareness, that is taking us to have the right kind of mindfulness. And if we being an individual especially can find, if you are if you lead it to the especially can find mindfulness, I can assure that is totally going to be changing the behavior of an individual in a positive direction. Especially your aggression level is going to be reduced. And this is the especially and beauty of the yogic practices. Then ultimately, when we talk on why we have been involved into the especially and why we have taken up yogic practices, reason behind this traditionally the true reflection is to understanding the deeper experiences. And the same time, that state of especially can find equanimity, state of balance, we are supposed to be especially tranquilized. And these all things especially I can assure you, through this particular session I'll be taking you to all of you to a very positive gravity part. At the same time, you are going to be understanding how productively you can able to lead a meaningful life through the help of especially can find various practice of yoga. And when we talk on the sports psychology part, everyone want especially can find the performance part. And performance is totally depends upon the total sports, it totally depends upon the athletes, how he or she is being especially motivated, and how he or she is been especially confident as an athlete, and how he or she is been understanding the total sports knowledge of the total sports. And the routine part, especially yamas and nemas, these also is to be kept involved in the sports or the performance part. And being an athlete especially can find how you are going to be optimizing, how you are going to be managing your especially can find anxiety and the stress, especially when you are really required especially. So being an athlete especially can find the motivation reaching to the ground, or even at the especially can find nobody is watching, even going to the training. And you will have a lot of wear and tear. That time especially you might have been set the goals, especially being an athlete, how you have been defined your goal, how you have been set at your goals, and how specifically you are going to achieve the very specific kind of goals, and how meaningfully you are going to be especially can find motivated. And being an athlete, you are whether you are ready to be very agreeable to especially can find the training program and very time specific activities, how being an athlete, especially you are been engaging into the various kind of training programs, and the same time you will be having the record of the entire programs, especially. So as an athlete, especially can find when we lack the confidence, especially can find we are going to be shattered. So being a confident athlete means he or she may be experienced athletes. And the same time, we are being exhibiting, we are being especially trying to observe ourselves as a idealistic model in front of the others, and we are being observing the especially can find right kind of confidence. And the imaginary technique, this imaginary technique is as same as like especially can find the shavasana practices or meditative practices, and the self-talk especially can find the which we are been experiencing the psychology especially can find these also used to be correlated with the yogic practice, and the same time right kind of feedback also we required especially as an athlete. So the mental rehearsal part especially, they how have been preparing yourself, and for that one we need a quiet, tranquilized place. And the same time, we are been imagining the especially can find entire competition or entire race or entire especially can find scenario. And the same time, we are been experiencing the internal sensations, especially can find just correlated the Nadanu Santana, especially can find. And the few times we may be using the some or other kind of prompts to enhancing, especially can find even a words, even especially this sensational, especially motivation for chanting of the mantras. These all things are being the one thing. So what exactly totally being an athlete, how you have been imagined everything, then the even the self-talk especially can find we a few times especially it is very very difficult being an athlete especially to motivate himself or focus on especially can find staying calm. And for that one especially we are been using the relaxative techniques, we are using breathe as a medium, we are using especially can find meditative practices as a medium for especially can find enhancing the or optimizing the athlete or bringing the athlete back to the especially to optimizing the level of the motivation part also. So another most important part especially it is not only to the athletes, each and every individual especially going to the phase of the anxiety management. And for that one especially can find various kind of relaxative techniques, either it can be the breathing, how you are going to be being an athlete, you'll be focusing on your breathing and regulating your breath. And how being an athlete especially once you go for a stretch especially the feeling of the especially can find openness, and the muscle spasm especially can find you are be getting, and how we are being especially can find through the relaxation technique especially we can enable to progressive muscle relaxation techniques which we will be using. And even the very soothing light music especially can find, even the various kind of meditative musics which we are being using especially these all things which are always been helping the athlete to be especially can find to relax himself. At the same time especially it is going to be always be helping him to be vitalized. Then as an athlete especially can find when we talk on, when you see the as a winning athlete who is been standing on the Olympics podium, he or she will be marked different, especially than the rest of the population and the entire world. The reason behind this to be they are highly motivated people, and they being an athlete, especially they are very very confident about the potential which they are having, and the same time they have been trained in such a fashion that so that especially they can exhibit their performance in such a fashion. Then their preparation part is the very very vital especially. And being an athlete especially can there are n number of situations you being an athlete, being an individual, you might have been seen the sports person especially can find managing the pressure and overcoming their opponent and winning them, especially that is the beauty part of especially can find sports, or that is the beauty of the athlete especially. So as an individual especially can find how you are being an athlete especially can find you what kind of techniques you are using to prepare yourself. Either it can be the imaginary techniques, either it can be the self-talk, either it can be the relaxative techniques especially can find. All these things are somewhat somewhere taken from the yogic practices especially. Then there are few common issues, especially athletes used to be facing, that is the anxiety part. And the same time, athlete may not be able to handling the pressure even at the especially confined, when they are at the especially confined nervous situation. And few times athlete may be facing, especially the staying in the present, especially confined, through the help of yogic practices, yoga talk on, especially trying to live in the present rather than to be worried about the past, or even worried about the especially confined, and trying to begin or stay in the present and try to enjoy, try to remain focused, even uh, undisturbed focus or undisturbed, especially confined, is going to be required, especially confined. Few sporting activity we cannot even able to take a chance at all. Then being an athlete, especially confined, few times if you are need, if you couldn't even able to optimize yourself, then you may go for the negativity, especially there are inner critics or inner conflict, especially confined. And these all things especially can find reducing your or confidence level, being an athlete, being an individual, and your self-esteem also used to be confined. And ultimately, once you involved into the yogic practices, this has always been helping you to have believe on yourself, believe on your potentiality, and the same time, because you have been trained hard in such a fact, so that you are going to be developing a belief system, especially. So the most important part, especially can find as a yogic practitioner, especially can find yamas and niyamas, especially can find how yamas are helping us to be confined, dealing with the people around us, especially, and how the yamas, especially niyamas, this is been talking about how being an individual, we are going to be dealing our own, especially can find ourselves or our own system, especially inner consciousness. And asana means especially how perfectly you are going to be especially dealing your own, especially can find physical body part. And the pranayama means especially how you are been controlling, how you are been dealing your breath part. And pratyahara concept, when you talk on especially the senses, the sensory organs, especially five senses through which we are been perceiving this universe, and how we are been going to be especially dealing and controlling that part. Then the dharana part, especially the undisturbed concentration which we are been going to experiencing. And ultimately dhyan means the meditative phase, being an individual, especially concerned, we are being experiencing. Ultimately the samadhi means the ultimately the freedom from the inner freedom or absolute freedom, especially being a soul which we are going to be experienced. So as an athlete, especially can find there are disturbances, there are especially can find the uh, this there are especially can find issues and problems when it comes to the physical level, when it comes to the psychological. So as an athlete, especially can find, if you can't even able to take up the, or if can't even able to take up the right kind of load, especially can find the, then the psychological stress especially can find, it may be the cognitive stress, it may be especially can find we may be constantly worrying about the things which we couldn't even able to achieve that way, especially. So when it comes to uh, the concept of especially can find yoga versus to talk on the concept of adi and vyadi concept, especially. And adi talk about especially can find imbalance of the mental level, and how the psychological level, the psychic level, or the sensory level, especially. Vyadi we talk on especially can find the imbalance on the physical level, maybe the injury, maybe, or maybe the physical elements, especially can these being a sports person, if you understand how you can able to correlate with the especially can find the concept of chitta shuddhi, and that way especially can have, so that we can able to lead a disease free life or disease free body, especially can find. And another the most important concept when we the Srimad Bhagavad Gita has been given to all of us, especially. And Samatvam Yoga Uchade, even at the state of equanimity, state of balance, especially can find, when a very, very harmonious state, you are not going to be losing the mental equanimity part especially can. As an individual, you are not going to, you are in a state of especially harmony, and not only to be especially can find physical level, even there is no especially can find everything is in the same fashion and remain in the moderate fashion, and the same time they're not worried about especially can find the stress or the desires or the pleasures or the other thing especially can. The most important part especially I always been talking to my own athletes especially can find the attitude part, the Yamas and Nemas especially. And being an athlete, if you want to be reached to the top level in the sports especially, for that one, you are supposed to have the right kind of attitude. That right kind of attitude is even the Patanjali has been talking about Sadhu Dirka Kala, uh, then the Satkaro, here we will talk on about especially can find what exactly the concept of especially can find the very constant kind of practices, a long time constant without break especially can. That's why even the starting phase I was been talking, even a training day, few days especially it is very difficult to be especially coming out from the bed. So you at that time you need the right kind of attitude. For that one, the abhyasa part, long time practice and uninterrupted practice especially, and the wholehearted practices especially can only making us to become a right kind of person, and how we are going to be hitting our system, that is very vital than any other. So when we talk on the asana part with the correlating with the sports psychology, this always been helping us to have especially the body mind awareness and a right kind of especially can find proprioceptive functioning, and at the same time especially can find even few of the times especially few moments athletes have been performing especially maybe in the unconscious fashion especially can find. So the moment you involve into the asana part, this has always been helping us to have the movement which you are being performing, especially very specific, very minute kind of especially movement with a very conscious effort you are going to be especially can perform. Then once you involve into the dhyan part, especially the meditation part, if you involve especially uh, meditation as your part and parcel of your life, this always been helping us to have the right kind of especially can find central nervous system functioning, and these always especially can find helping us to have a right kind of especially can dominance of your parasympathetic dominancy, and this parasympathetic dominance is always been helping us to activating you even especially can find even when you are at the state of rest, and even at the especially can find the proper kind of digestion is going to be helping us, and even especially can find if your body is in the phase of anaerobic state, or even especially can find if your body is being especially demanding the especially recovery phase also, even the tissue damages are being taking place during that time also, especially recovery process are going to be faster. That's the most beautiful part. Then the another most beautiful part, scientifically proved part, is to be decreasing the oxygen consumption, and it is enhancing the metabolic rate, and it is always been especially helping to the optimizing the breathing rate and the cardiac input, and the amount of the especially confined blood lactate is going to be especially confined, eradicating the blood lactate also. That is another most beautiful beautiful part. Then you are understanding the especially can find the deep relaxation phase, and most beautiful part is to be increasing the awareness or increasing the coordination between the body, physical body and the mind. And being an athlete especially, we need to be faster, we are supposed to be stronger, and we are supposed to have better reaction time than the normal individual also. So another most important part is to be, once you involve into the sports, the competitive sports especially, the injuries, the part and parcel of the sports especially. So how being an athlete especially, you are going to be respecting your own body, and the same time you are understanding the limitation of your own body, that is especially can. So once you understand this one especially can find knowledge, this always been helping us to be confined very well, help us to be preventing the injuries, and the same time it is helping us to have the right kind of the biofeedback tools especially can find. And these biofeedback tools especially always been having the right kind of body mind awareness, and this is always been especially can find. Once you have the right kind of especially can find by mind body awareness especially, is always been helping us to have you started responding in such a fashion that, and you are not going to be especially confined, you are trying to honoring your especially confined the physical limitation, and the same time even especially confined, you are not going to crossing the limit, or you are not going to crossing the edge of your the physical uh, limitations especially can. So the another most important part especially can find, not only to the athlete especially can find, each and every individual, we are supposed to keep the right kind of alignment especially. That alignment is possible through the help of especially the how our muscles are being torn, how our muscles are engaged in such a fashion that especially can find, we will be keeping a right kind of postural part, and even especially can find the tonicity of your muscle. And these always been especially can find how uh, asanas are one of the best medium through which we going to be helping us to have the right kind of especially can find isotonic muscle strengthening part. This is always been especially helping us to elongating our muscle in such a fact. So that's why through which we are going to be developing the flexibility, and even without even losing the strength part, or even without losing the speed part, or even the power part especially because of this one, the lacking the injuries, and we can able to perform it in the field especially in a much better fashion. This is the most beautiful part especially. So as an athlete, if you go for a 2 hours of training or 3 hours especially can find, you being an athlete, you have to recover very quickly and fastly especially can. So being an athlete especially can find how fastly you are going to be recovering yourself. Not only to the especially can find, there are multiple level of especially processes which we are being established, and all these especially can find yogic practices are the one of the best method to we can implement it for especially campaign, one of the medium for the recovery phase also. So there are multi-level of especially campaign areas which we talk on, especially physiology, the psychology, and the spirituality and sociologically. We can able to recover the athletes and bring them back to the their especially confined normal schedule. So when we talk on especially confined, being an athlete, it is not possible to especially maintaining the right kind of mood or right kind of state of mind every time. And few times especially confined, we may burn out, we may be overtrained, and these all things especially can find leading you to the issues of the anxiety, issues of the depression, maybe the mental health issues. So there are especially can find there is lot of physiological responses especially can find which are being we being an athlete we are being experiencing most of the time. It may be the muscle inflammation, maybe the overproduction of the testosterone, maybe the heart rate variability part, lacking the sleep, or the lot of pain on the joints, and even and injuries especially can find. All these things especially can find they how we can able to eradicate especially. That's why this imbalance which has been happening in the body, and this imbalance can be especially eradicated through the help of the asanas, and imbalance of the mind can be helped eradicate through the dhyan part, and the soul also especially can. These health issues we can able to eradicate. That's why the help of the body mind awareness especially how it is possible through the help of asanas, through the help of pranayama practices. I can assure you we can able to recover the athlete, we can able to eradicate the athlete, and the same time especially we can bring them back to the especially. So a few times you might have been heard about especially athlete used to be confined doping themselves especially. The reason behind this to be confined, they have to come back to the sports very quickly and fastly, maybe because of the the sports demand. So my request to all of you, especially can find somebody who's being an athlete, take up, especially can find yogic practices as a pills especially can find. This has always been helping us to become. Being an athlete, you are going to become a very, very committed athlete. And the same time, it has always been helping us to become fine, eradicating the stress, and you are going to have a very, very beautiful life also. It is up to you, being an athlete, especially you want to take up the pills and they eradicate the stress, or it is you can take up the yogic practices as one of the way. So this is what especially can I want to talk to all of you. And let me take another 5 minutes especially can find for the few practices. Keeping your back straight, look at the screen, bring the tongue outside. Be there for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now slowly close your eyes. Relax for another 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now roll the tongue inside. Roll it inside. 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now slowly release. Close your eyes. Relax. Relax. Eyes remains closed and relax for another 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now slowly bring the both the hands on your eyes. Press your eyes with the heel of the hand for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now hands down. Close your eyes. Relax for another 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now slowly open your eyes. Close the fist. Keep it near to your face. Look at the screen. Gaze the screen. Open your mouth. 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now slowly hands down. Close your eyes. Eyes remains closed. Relax for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now slowly open your eyes. Bring the hands here like this way. Gaze the screen. Press it with the tip of the fingers. 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now hands down. Close your eyes. Eyes remains closed. Relax for another 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now slowly bring the both hands near to your cheeks. Press it hard. Look at the screen. 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hands down. Close your eyes. Eyes remains closed for another 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As now slowly bring the right hand on your mouth, left hand on your left cheek. Fill the air. Press it from the both the sides for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hands down. Close your eyes. Eyes remains closed. Relax for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now slowly change the hand order. Left hand on your mouth, right hand on your right cheek. Press it. 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now slowly hands down. Close your eyes. Relax for another 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now slowly open your eyes. Now bring the hands here, just above the forehead. Look at the screen. Press with the index finger. Look at the screen for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now hands down. Close your eyes. Eyes remains closed. Relax for another 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now gently open your eyes. Bring the hands near to your forehead region. Press from both the sides. Press it hard for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hands down. Close your eyes. Relax for another 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now slowly open your eyes. With the tip of the fingers, you will be pulling the lips outside. 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now hands down. Relax. Eyes remains closed and relax for another 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now gently open your eyes. Now bring both the hands fingers just above your eyelashes. Now start massaging for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hands down. Close your eyes. Eyes remains closed. आँख बंद करके रखेंगे. Relax for another 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now gently open your eyes. Now press the fleshy portion of your ears. Press it hard. Press it hard for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hands down. Close your eyes. Eyes remains closed for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now slowly interlock the hands behind. Look at the screen. Press it. Press it hard. 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now hands down. Relax for another 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now gently open your eyes. Hands here. Look at the screen. Press it. Press it with the tip of the fingers. Gaze the screen for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hands down. Close your eyes. Eyes remains closed. Relax for another 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now fill there on your mouth. 5 seconds. 1. Gaze the screen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Release. Close your eyes and relax for another 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now gently open your eyes. Now both the cheeks together. 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Release and relax for another 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now eyes remains closed. Now we'll be going for the Brahma Mudra, keeping your back straight. Be in a relaxed state. Now very gently Turn your neck towards the right side, bring it in line with your right shoulder. Be there for another 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now very gently bring it back to the initial phase. Be there for another 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Now very gently turn your neck towards your left side. Bring it in line with your left shoulder. Feel the stretching of the right portion of the neck. Be there for another 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now very gently bring it back to the initial phase. Be there for another 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Now very gently bring your neck up. Feel the stretching of your Adam's circle. Be there for another 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now very gently bring it back to the initial phase. Be there for another 3 more seconds. 1, 2, 3. Now very gently bring your chin towards the chest. Feel the stretching of the back portion of the neck. Be there for another 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now very gently bring it back to the initial phase. Eyes remains closed. आंख बंद करके रखेंगे. Now join the palms together, make Namaskara Mudra. Now I'll be ending the session with the chanting of the mantra. You can listen to the mantra. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayaः, sarve bhadrani pasyantu ma kasyat दुःखभाग् भवेत्. लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु. ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति. Slowly rub your palms, make it hot, place it to your eyes, press your eyes with the heel of the hand. With the support of your fingers, open your eyes, look up, right down, right side, left side. Now squeeze your hands, please. Now massage your forearm, please. Now tap your chest, tap your shoulders, and thank you all. And one more thing is there, the Department of Yogic Sciences, Lakshmi National Institute offers these kind of course, which one is the MA Yoga and postgraduate diploma program, especially even in the offline as well as the online mode we used to offer, and the certificate course program. And the most beautiful part is to be the PhD yoga also we offer. And last year we had 22 candidates. This year we are having 8 seats for the PhD also. And this is what, and thank you all. And let me
Thank you so much, sir, for delivering such an interesting and such an informative lecture to our viewers. On behalf of Murari Desai National Institute of Yoga and my own behalf, I would like to thank you for joining us today and accepting our invitation. And I would also like to thank Director of MDNIY, Dr. Ishwar V. Basavaraddi sir, and Communication and Documentation Officer of MDNIY, and our technical team and entire staff who have helped us in organizing this webinar. Thank you one and all. Thanks to our viewers for joining us today. Now, as per the tradition of our institute, let us end the program with Shanti Path. सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामया सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Shall I leave?
Yes, sir.